Welcome to the long form content here with Katie's House Foundation and Moving Forward Properties. Last week, Julie and I were lucky enough to go to the Nashville Builders Expo, and we had a great time. It also was the 250th birthday, our Independence Day in the United States, and FIFA and all kinds of great stuff going. So we're going to take this week's long form and talk about some of our favorites at the Nashville Builder Expo. And if you are a builder, about surveyors, crack slabs, if you're a flipper, those are really important things to know about, as well as landlords like DSCR loans, what you can do in Nashville or even other pockets of the country as it relates to cash flow versus exiting a property, whether you build it or you flip it. And then, of course, getting cash out and what's happening with properties sitting on the market. As you all know, we also have nonprofit stuff going. So shelterregistry.com, which ties in because actually last week we met somebody who indirectly knows the mayor. And so we've talked with mayors, we've talked with governors, and it's really interesting to deal with people that are homeless and then people that are wealthy. So the wealthy people come to us for money, or even people that are just getting started and have never done a flip or a rental. And we give them money, of course, loans to make money. And then we also talk with the government sectors to help people who don't have a place to live. So it's very interesting here at Moving Forward Properties and Katie's House Foundation, because it is rich and poor every single day, 7 days a week, and we actually thrive in that environment to just help people. So Julie, what do you think about last week and everything? Like, who were your favorites that we met?
Yeah, last week was very exciting, I think, for both of us. It was a combination of just the people that we met and the area that we were in. We had different speakers that we listened to. We had different companies that we were able to interact with and find out a little bit about them. Obviously, my favorite was the networking and just meeting people in person. We went to the networking speaker as well. I don't want to say eye-opening because obviously we've done networking forever, but I think just having that reminder and having that example that people can give you on what good you can do for somebody else, that you're not necessarily going there to sell something, but that you're just trying to help the other guy that you meet there, maybe introduce them to somebody else. I think what happened to us at that networking event that we did go to, I think that was fun. I did like seeing the builders that we met there, and we even took a little side trip and we actually looked at some of the building that was going on. I really liked meeting the people, seeing what was going on at the location there in Nashville, downtown Nashville, and out in the suburbs part. I thought it was very exciting for us to go out there and actually shake some hands, see some people, and look at some of the things that are going on in the area.
If you guys are in the Tennessee area or even the Huntsville, Alabama area, these are really, really great places to pick up properties. Now, I know if you're local, you'll want to pick up properties too. And I would just like to give a shout out to Patriot Construction contractors. And they did everything from A to Z. They had such a great company, and we went and looked at some of their new builds in Lebanon. And if you're building out there and you need a GC or a project manager, please reach out to them. We will invite them on because they seemed very trustworthy. And of course, going to look at their construction and meet them was really necessary a lot of times because talk is cheap. And then also Derek Ireland and Chris from Mobile Video Guard, they were awesome too. They're the ones who were the keynote speaker of the networking, and they helped push out our invitation. People came and met us at Martin's Barbecue in downtown Nashville. There was about 25 people. And to your point, Julie, what was really great was how much people wanted to sincerely help each other. Can I do for you? And nobody was really selling anything. I think by default, you end up committing to buy something. Like Julie, you bought some of those air tags, right? Or it's not an air tag, it's called something else.
It's like an air tag, but it actually allows you to real time check your items. So if you had a different setup where you have actual tools on site for the contractor. You could put these on your tools and it'll let you, if those tools leave that site, it'll contact you. So it's a little bit different than an air tag. It actually does some on time notifications if that's what you need. So yes.
And it has the geofencing, which I actually thought was really great. So for example, if you have 10 acres, and for me, it was about my kids and my dog at that point, or dogs, because yes, being that my husband and I are in the construction space, you can put a fence around only so much of the construction site, really, in my opinion, that makes it financially worth it. And then anything after that, if you go out to the construction site, you still want to geo-fence the whole entire property. So I thought that was cool.
I'll have to get the name of that before we get off here, and I will mention the name. I'll get the website for you.
Inviting them on too.
Definitely is a good, like I said, that is definitely something for builders, for construction people with their tools. You can, like I said, you can real time track it, that if it leaves wherever you have the fence around, the geo fence around it, that it'll notify you immediately. Very interesting. I kind of got that. I didn't even expect him to explain that to me, but as part of the networking group, he did explain that to me. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, some of the other things that came up that I think would be helpful for our listeners to hear is making sure that if you sign up for an expo, that you know who the attendees are. Because we went as attendees and we couldn't entirely pinpoint, even based on people's marketing, like their giant paid for banners, what they were trying to convey to us, what they were selling, if we should stop at their booth. And then also when we did stop and talk to some of them, they thought that they were going to be selling to one type of client, but actually they were their own competition. So for example, if you were a home builder and you had a booth there, you might expect homeowners to come and hire you to build their house, which is what a few of them were. But disproportionately, the attendees were the builders. The attendees were the builders. And so they would have no interest in learning about what their competition is doing to some degree, right? Because they're all building houses to some degree. Maybe they could throw business back or forth. But if you are going to pay for a spot in a magazine, or you're going to pay for a booth, Julie, we were interested in that for about half a minute. And the truth is that you really have to know who's going to show up. And I think that's interesting because on YouTube, we don't know who's watching. So hopefully you guys are into what we're into, which is basically all things making money or saving money. We are going to start really trying to, during our shorts, because we want to give really good tips that are valuable. And we know your attention and time is valuable. And so if you are just getting started out and you don't know anything about a credit score, that would be really helpful, since that dictates all kinds of money for the rest of your life. But also if you are a very seasoned builder or flipper or investor and you just really don't have the attention to give to every single thing, we want you to give your attention to us, because we can give you very easy loans for you to make on average $50,000 every quarter that you wouldn't have otherwise made. And so we are better than our competitors, and we have to be better at conveying those things in our long form and our short form. And so we hope that you guys will take the time to continue to listen, and it's completely free to do so. And it does help our nonprofit mission, which is of course free financial literacy to people of all ages, but in particular teens. And then also talking about how do you value properties, starting with the end in mind. And so I think you're going to see the quality of our content get better and better as we try and deliver very pointed value to different types of people, rich or poor. Julie, I do want to talk about our 4 or 5 different loan products. What's your favorite loan product?
Well, my favorite is the DSCR loan. And that is because, and we've talked about this on other segments, is that really with a DSCR loan, you can go out and find that property and you can have that 20% down and basically have yourself an affordable payment that you know you're going to have cash flow each month and that you're going to be able to use each time. You can build on that there's not going to be that limit that you can only have so many because you're putting them in your personal name. We do corporations, LLCs, and that the amount is not limited, but if you have those opportunities and you know where to go, and sometimes we talk about where they're around. And while we were at Nashville, we talked to a builder that's building in that area that likes that higher competition, likes to build where the city already is, because that's what he's used to. Whereas other people like to spread out and go where it's a little bit more affordable out in those suburbs. If somebody really starting out in this business was like, oh, I really want to get into a rental, that DSCR loan is a perfect way to get into that rental and be able to make that profit that you need and get that loan each time. It gets easier and easier.
Yeah, I think, for example, in Nashville, for a one bedroom, it's about $1,800 right now. And so that's a lot. That's like California prices, to be honest. I mean, California might even be up to $2,500 for a one bedroom. And if you were to pick up or build a 2-unit property or a 3-unit property or a 4-unit property, even if they were just one bedroom each, and charge, that's actually on the lower side, $1,800 a month. I know because my family member is moving to Nashville, and so she'll be working with the government, and it's a great job, but she's trying to pick something that is affordable. And the higher end is like $3,000 a month for a one bedroom. And so imagine if you are able to go outside of the Nashville proper, like Lebanon, for example, or Germantown, like some of these other ones, and build or even just get a property. We would call it a flip to rent, where you actually could come to us at myportfolioloan.com and just put in the property address and an idea of what you think the rents are using Craigslist or whatever, and an idea of the insurance. And essentially, you could be putting down 20%. So if the purchase price was $300,000 or $400,000 on a fixer-upper, maybe you're putting down 30 or 40,000 and you have that in your IRA, or your friends want to throw all some money together and you lease that out. Hopefully you can add on some units through some of the construction budget that we would give to you. Actually, we have 2 different things going here. If you do a turnkey rental, it's 20% down payment on the purchase price. If you do a fixer-upper, it's only 10% down on the purchase price, typically speaking, depending on your experience level and the loan amounts. And with that in mind, if you get construction money from us, if it does need construction or you want to add units, then we could finance the construction budget. We could finance the loan payments so you don't have any, and then you have a no income, no asset loan, no loan payment loan. Like, you guys, it's amazing. You could be making $1,000 a month every single month just by owning a property, after you make the initial investment, of course. But after you hold it for, let's just say, 6 months or even less than that, you can ask us to give you back your cash, and that way you can recoup it and go on and do the next one. So Julie, what do you think about that?
That's exactly, obviously you're adding in some extra projects, but that's definitely why I like that loan. And I like the way that it's structured, that we can give out that money back when they're collected some of that profit. So they're not only collecting that profit, but they're able to, when they're ready to go to the next one, is get some of that cash back.
Yeah, we love that. That's why this channel is called Cash Out at the end, Kirsten Vanderjack Cash Out, is because so many people don't offer cash out immediately after you take ownership of a property, but we do. And that's what makes our niche different. For people that are listening right now, if you have received a property recently, or if you're a realtor or in the mortgage space and you know somebody who needs cash, please send them to myportfolioloan.com. We're always coming from a place of like, let us get you where you want to go. Oftentimes that's through financial means. And so we want to be the glue that's able to do that for you over and over again. So yeah, getting cash out of properties after you acquire them. Of course, you can just keep moving up the financial ladder and doing more projects. Some of the other products that we should talk about, loan programs, is the bridge loan. You guys can do that on a purchase or a refinance. What's really cool about that is that you don't need a lease and there's no construction component with us. What I'm trying to tell you guys, on a bridge loan, you could buy something and pretty much there's nothing to it but the appraisal, and that you haven't done anything egregious on your credit or your background check. You don't need all this. You don't need a lease. You don't need tax returns. You don't need anything. And you can also pull cash out. Everyone misses that. And we need to talk more and more about the bridge to success. And then also, we do have ground-up construction, but we also have a fifth product, which we don't talk about. It's commercial. So if you're building a housing development, let's say a tract of 20 houses, we actually can do that for you. And we have a really great product. Or if you have apartments, we can help you with that too. The sales cycle is much longer. And so we normally offer a 14-day funding guarantee for residential 1 to 4 units, get you your money in 14 days. We have to order that appraisal because everything is based on the value of that, what we like to call the diamond, right? So that's first thing first, is give you a quote, order an appraisal, and get you some money in 14 days. When it comes to commercial stuff, even like mixed use. So mixed use, guys, would be where you have a bodega maybe on the bottom and a house on top, or you have a dental office in the front and a condo in the back. And half of your money from that, let's call it a dental or some type of commercial in the front, it has to be 49% or less. So the back could be a rental, like a condo that maybe your son lives in or your daughter lives in, someone other than you. And so you have disproportionately more money coming in from the residential side. It's not really disproportionate. It's only 2%, right? So like more money slightly coming in from your residential rental than the commercial side, which is like a shop or something. So these are very cool things to know about. But what's really important is like having a partner, I think, that has been doing it a really long time, who you can go to every month or every quarter and be like, hey, let's do another one. Julie, do you want to talk about emotional versus logical borrowers or people, because you're in the law enforcement space, you're a business owner, like emotional versus logical buyers and business owners? What do you think?
Yeah, a lot of times you get to talking to people and you can see their excitement, you can see their emotions come out. And I think that they sometimes are really passionate, but I also think that sometimes they see that opportunity and they really get excited about it. And then they become emotional about it where they don't want to let it go. They always say you make your money when you buy. So make sure that you're buying at the price point that's going to make it for the numbers work. A lot of people that I've been mentored by or I've been in groups with will always tell you to get your numbers right, get your numbers in order, and then start to get the excitement. I think us allowing people to have these opportunities to get these loans and to do these projects is great, because we also are going to do some of those checks and make sure that those come out to be a win-win for both parties, a win for us and a win for them. So I think emotionally it can be great because it gets you excited, it keeps you focused, but sometimes we get too emotional and we want things so badly that we don't look at it in a logical way. So it's difficult sometimes, but I think overall, I think most people understand when they do invest, they know, like, and understand. So they are better about what they're putting their money into and whether or not they're going to get that profit back.
Yeah, I would agree, both in business and in being an investor, because what we see are early investors who maybe they're so excited to do their deal, but they don't ask a lot from us. And they don't want to answer a lot of questions because it's more just they're excited to do the deal. And when we ask about the numbers, they don't know them yet. And that's fine. But the problem is that they never get a deal closed because they never make their way through the paperwork and the numbers. And we can do the heavy lifting for them and dial all of that in if they have the money. We can coach them for free because we're obviously wanting to help them do these deals because we give them the loans and we make our money when we close the loan. But I feel bad when they don't close and they're like going to all of these networking events, but they never make money. They never make money on it back. And so I think it's cool if they want to go and meet people. I think that they're in an education stage, and that's really great to continue listening to our YouTube and our shorts and stuff. But what's interesting is that as you close deals and you sell the properties or you rent the properties out or you hire property managers, you become much more logical about everything because, as you know, things don't always go to plan in life with people, mostly. Unless you really know the people, it's difficult.
Those flippers out there will tell you they work in a certain percent of extra in their budget to get over that hump of something happens that's not expected. And it's hard to do that sometimes when you're on the rental side, because how are you going to know that the water main work that they're doing 2 blocks away to upgrade the infrastructure is going to affect your water heater because your tenants don't understand that turning the water on when the water is off is a bad idea. Things like that happen to you that you end up having these expenses sometimes can wreck your numbers. But I think what we're talking about is getting that excitement and making it into something that can really get you over the hump of analysis paralysis sometimes. Keep listening to us, like and subscribe. We can see that you guys are listening. We're really excited to get you more information. And I think attending that expo was a really great experience to reconnect with some people and connect with new people. We're on the right track with getting a good idea of there are deals out there. We want you guys to successfully do these deals. And just let us know what you've got in mind so we can help you get to that profit spot.
I would even say, and then we'll call it a day for today, is that we built myportfolioloan.com to help everyone, meaning that if you go and you read the 30 questions that we ask in 60 seconds, that is really what every lender who does private money, hard money, bridge financing, or DSCR financing is looking for. And so if you can master those 30 questions, if you are a mortgage broker, a loan officer, a real estate agent, or an investor, if you're brand new, or even if you're seasoned, we've boiled it down on purpose. If you really want to know from a logical standpoint how to get private money from us, or hard money, bridge, and DSCR, you'll know the answers to those 30 questions on any property address. And that is how you can move like lightning. And that's completely free. All right, Julie. Well, I certainly hope that everyone has a wonderful week, and we will catch you on our next long form. Please subscribe. It's completely free.